This is the moment every fan waits for. The countdown's over. The road to kickoff has begun.
Play is here to stay.
I'm not going to name names, Kevin.
From win totals to player props, from division races to MVP debates, we've got eyes on every camp and data feeding 24/7, breaking down every angle across the league. Every pick, every edge, every line that matters. SportsGrid. Your road to kickoff starts now.
He is not Derrick Henry. He is not one of those special backs in that sense. A really good one that's been outstanding in fantasy for quite some time. But you can also hear the buzz recently about it being more of a split backfield. And if that's so, then Aaron Jones' value takes a hit, Jordan Mason's value goes up, and there's an opportunity at some point if Aaron Jones misses time where you can see Jordan Mason take that backfield over.
Fantasy sports today, only on SportsGrid.
It's a safe shot, pin high left with a 6-iron. And then this is where JJ enters the fray again and hits this like slice 5-iron. That was just, I mean, it curved probably a good, 30, 40 feet, almost flies in the hole. And it was just a crazy shot because nobody would ever really try to hit that type of slider.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
In extras, knocked out the Reds 6-5. This team doesn't lose. And the only thing I want to say, Tom, is I just hope they can continue this. Now, what does that mean? 40 games in a row? Of course we know it's not going to be the case. They are peaking right now. We've seen so many times. Baseball's a long season. Boy, if the Brewers were playing this baseball on September the 28th, watch out. But they are sensational right now.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
Is Netflix about to get the MLB Home Run Derby? Plus, Tony Hawk tells us skateboarding has never been hotter. Hi, everyone, and welcome to Front Office Sports Today from FOS Studios in New York City. I'm Baker Machado.
And I'm Renee Washington, and thank you guys so much for joining us as each and every weekday we're chatting the biggest stories in the business and culture of sports. We're also looking into ESPN's highly awaited new streaming services, big debut later. But first, let's jump right into the shoot-around.
Yeah, and let's start in the NFL, Renee, where Colts quarterback Anthony Richardson's future with the team now in doubt. That after Daniel Jones was named the starting quarterback for the season. Richardson's agent telling ESPN they're disappointed with the move and are unsure of the former first-round pick's future with the team, but they stopped short of demanding a trade. Meanwhile, Daniel Jones's former team, the Vikings, could be in line for a fourth-round compensatory pick in next year's NFL draft now that he's starting for the Colts. This despite the fact, Renee, that he didn't play a single snap for the Vikings last season. What a good move for them.
I know. Now as we're getting these announcements around the QB1s heading into week one, the Colts one actually doesn't surprise me as much because when they brought in Daniel Jones for that one-year, $14 million deal, he had $13.15 million of that was guaranteed, and there were a ton of incentives, including incentives of $50,000 extra for every game he starts, for also just other aspects as well. So they brought him in with the expectation it's a one-year trial and error to see if he could be their starting quarterback. And as head coach Shane Steichen also mentioned, this is for the season. They're not planning this for just week by week. They're planning for him to be their starting quarterback for the entire season. So now, Anthony Richardson, what do you do? I'm not sure, but I do think there's going to be opportunities for Anthony Richardson to see snaps this season.
All right, meanwhile, 2025 continues to break records for the WNBA as the league surpassed its total regular season attendance record of 2.3 million fans that was set back in 2002, and there's still a whole month left to play this season. The first-year Golden State Valkyries have been the biggest attendance drivers this year. They've sold out all 16 of their home games, and the Indiana Fever lead the league in attendance. But Renee, the W is averaging more than 11,000 fans a game. That also would be a record if the season ended today.
Yeah, is it time to actually consider moving more WNBA games to larger arenas or just having their arenas be bigger capacity in general? I mean, 6 teams this season have moved to larger arenas for specific games, and we've seen the trade-off. These attendance records, as you mentioned, it's been the Valkyries, it's been the Fever, it's also been the Liberty as the reigning champs, are averaging 29% more fans per game this year, and they've already surpassed their total attendance from last year as well. So individually, teams are reaching new highs, but as a league, with that 11,000 average attendance, if they continue on this pace, it's going to be a 33% increase from last season. So the WNBA might need to start having some conversations around permanent moves to larger arenas.
So true. Meanwhile, Major League Baseball reportedly on the verge of shaking up their TV rights. Yes, Yahoo Sports says Apple's time with Friday Night Baseball could come to an end, with NBC and Peacock reportedly getting baseball's Friday and Sunday night rights, as well as the wild card playoff round as well. Also a surprise, Netflix is expected to get the Home Run Derby. Yahoo also says ESPN would acquire MLB.TV. That's the out-of-market package that could be folded then into ESPN streaming service here.
And it makes me wonder, does Major League Baseball continue to have these issues around finding that streaming home, the platform where they're going to have their 162 regular season games played, because of having so many games that you need a place that can house games essentially every day?
Right.
Because this has been an ongoing discussion. As you mentioned, the latest with Apple TV, who was under a 7-year deal through 2028, worth $85 million per year, that now they have to figure out how do they weasel their way out of this deal. And if Major League Baseball is upset with Apple TV, a whole other conversation is, will Major League Soccer follow suit? But for the league specifically, it is interesting because you're now looking at Netflix, you're looking at NBC, you're looking at potentially re-engaging with ESPN. And Jimmy Pitaro did mention that ESPN is engaged with Major League Baseball. They're having healthy conversations. It sounds like they broke up and they're considering getting back together again. So it's been a long process. I know we've had reports coming in that it seems like the deal is near done, but it seems like it's going to be a big package.
And on the topic of ESPN, their long-awaited direct-to-consumer streaming service finally becomes available on August the 21st, in which they hope to become the official destination for all sports fans. So what will the platform look like? Well, let's dive into that in our main event. All right, let's bring in FOS reporter Eric Fisher, who has already looked at the new streaming service already. So, Eric, tell us what you saw. What does the streaming service look like?
So, in a certain sense, some elements are going to look a lot like the ESPN app that you know already. There's going to be a big update that goes live on Thursday that's going to have this direct-to-consumer streaming, but also a bunch of additional features. That there's going to be an enhanced sort of second screen experience, live stats, a personalized version of SportsCenter, TikTok-style vertical video, deeper integration with ESPN BAT, shopping powered by Fanatics, and potentially even some local baseball content, depending on how the rights deals, the negotiations go with Major League Baseball. But there's going to be a lot of enhanced features, but sort of the front wrapping of this is going to kind of look like what you're already familiar with. So it's really that under the hood stuff, or the extra bells and whistles really come to life.
Let's talk more about those extra bells and whistles, because, Eric, it feels like this is a step for ESPN to try to be that all-encompassing location where people can watch all their sports, all their updates. What were some of those key features you noticed in this D2C streaming product that allows ESPN to really garner such a wide range of audiences locally and internationally?
Yeah, so the slogan they have around this is all of ESPN all in one place, and they've got a huge rights portfolio and a lot of different tentacles into a lot of different sports, both domestically and, to your point, internationally. And so the breadth of this is really kind of what stands out to me, that regardless of what kind of fan you are, what league you're into, what player you're into, what team you're into, whatever it is, they want to position themselves to be essentially the starting point, the front door of your fandom, and whatever direction it goes from there is whatever direction it goes. But between their rights and these features, it's that positioning as the front door of your fandom that's really fundamental to this.
We know the cable model is obviously struggling. In its heyday, ESPN had over 100 million subscribers. Now it's around 60 million. This is going to cost about $30 a month. Eric, do you feel like all these features and this new streaming service will help curb those subscriber losses and actually help ESPN maybe grow its platform?
In a broad sense, yes. This grand pivot to streaming, which is a huge priority for Disney, and ESPN is really the tip of the spear for the company. It's a hugely important initiative for them, and I do think in a broad sense it is going to work. They're sort of not only following the trends, but with all these additional features and what I described, trying to lead that pivot. Sort of the issue that I have, or the question that I have, is how well would that actually work? We're not going to have as clear a read as we once did. Those stats that you provided, those sort of public year-to-year, month-to-month, quarter-to-quarter numbers that we always knew of how many people subscribe to ESPN, that's going to be harder to understand going forward. Disney has said that they're going to stop reporting streaming numbers as part of their quarterly earnings report, similar to what Netflix did. So yes, in a general sense, I do think it's going to work. Exactly how well, that's going to be harder to determine.
Yeah, and what a time to launch this direct-to-consumer streaming product on the heels of the announcements of their partnership with the NFL, partnership with WWE, so much that ESPN is doing right now. In general, what have you heard in regards to comments from Jimmy Pitaro and others internally from ESPN in regards to how they're hoping this successfully launches?
Yeah, the timing really couldn't be better, that we're sort of coming in terms of, that's one of those times of year where we have that sports equinox where all the big leagues are going on, but also college, and we got WNBA playoffs. And, this early fall into winter period is really the sweet spot of the year in terms of the sports calendar, where you have the greatest number of things going on at once. So the timing was very deliberate, and I think it's going to be a great showcase for them and all the things that they're attempting to do.
Bob Iger, the CEO of Disney, has said that he wants this to be a one-stop shop for all sporting events, but we know all these rights are at other places, be it Fox, TNT, all this. Eric, do you envision a scenario where those rights, maybe Fox's World Series rights, are going to be in this ESPN streaming platform?
Not right now, although it's interesting you bring this up. There's a lot of bundles out there in terms of how you can access ESPN, including notably one with Fox, where you can get ESPN and Fox One as part of one price. It's just a marketing thing at this point, though, where you have one subscription, but the content is going to stay housed in those separate products.
Really interesting. Of course, ESPN going to be available for all of us to see it on Thursday, the 21st. Eric Fisher, thank you so much for that update. And coming up next, everyone, on Front Office Sports Today, skateboarding legend Tony Hawk joins the show. He tells us all about the brands that he loves to work with and so much more. Don't go anywhere.
Vegas knows how to celebrate. If you're headed to Vegas for your birthday, plan ahead to get all the birthday freebies the city has to offer. Just by showing your ID, you could get free cash play, scratch cards, drinks, and food at various venues on the Strip. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
He said that was his decision, not a smart baseball play. Like, shut up, Dave. Like, you know what I mean? Like, really. If Ohtani wants to steal third base on his own, let him steal third base on his own, bro. Like, he's Shohei Ohtani. He made the call. He was wrong. He was out. Okay. I wouldn't have called him out for it.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Multiple times on 18 today. It was just so wild. I mean, the distances, JJ hit it to the exact same spot. He had 30 feet, 36 feet, and 30 feet, and made the second playoff hole, the 30-footer there. And then they go to recut the hole, which I like. I like that, by the way.
Oh, I thought it was great, but I'm like, dude, he might hole out from the fairway. Like, they cut the hole where he's hit every single approach shot. The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
What would you tell the people right now, though? Like, okay, I like the Rams heading into the season, but I'm not sure about Matthew Stafford because people want to get their bets in. People want their team totals. People want to bet week number 1 here. So what's your prognosis on the Rams? We'll talk long-term in a second. Week number 1, are we just going to say, like, yeah, he's ready. Bullets are flying. He looks great out there because he is a tough dude. But again, a back injury for a quarterback trying to get all that torque on passes, usually not good.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
And welcome back, everyone, to Front Office Sports Today with Renee Washington. I'm Baker Machado. Well, few athletes are as universally recognized as the face of their sport outside of our next guest, as Tony Hawk is widely regarded as a pioneer of modern skateboarding. He became the first skateboarder to land a 900 back in 1999. Plus, we've got the video game, the Pro Skater video game, and so much more. So what's it like becoming the face of skateboarding? Well, let's ask him. Let's bring in Tony Hawk right now. Tony, good to have you here.
Good to be here. Thank you.
Well, let's talk about what you're doing with Julian's Auctions. Tell us about the 900 collection that you're auctioning off here.
Well, I didn't save a lot of my stuff through the decades of skating, but I did have some ones that seemed to remain around me, and I realized that I could get a collection together and maybe offer it to fans. Like I said, I'm not real sentimental about all this stuff, but I do have all the gear that I used at that event in X Games 1999, my skateboard, my shoes, my helmet, and my knee pads. And then I have a lot of other one-of-one items like these ones behind me. This is actually the first pro model I ever received that I rode.
Wow.
This one was a one-of-one that was actually caught in a house fire, so it's smoke damaged, and it's got a lot of history. And this is the 900 board right here.
Yeah, and Tony, when you look at the 90s and the X Games and the rise of skateboarding, primarily because of you, for these moments that you were able to accomplish such incredible feats, skateboarding was in a tremendous spot. But since then, we haven't heard as much. What have you been doing lately to help continue the rise of skateboarding? Maybe getting involved in a skateboarding league or investing in a league of any sort? What are you doing on your end to help continue to grow skateboarding?
Whatever I can. Advocacy, we have a foundation for public skate parks called the Skate Park Project. We've been doing that since 2002 and helped to open over 700 skate parks across the U.S. So, I mean, to be honest, I feel like that's probably the way I'm most effective in terms of using my voice and my recognition to open more facilities so that people have more access. But I mean, you'd be surprised. Skateboarding is as big as ever, and it's in the Olympics now. So it's more of where are you looking?
Well, yeah, I wanted to ask about that because
Yes.
you were definitely one of the people that really sort of advocated for skateboarding to be included in the Olympics, and it got it in 2020. What was that feeling like of finally getting it there?
Well, to be honest, I think for me it was about time. If you're not including a sport like skateboarding in the Olympics for considering how popular it is and how similar it is to, say, snowboarding, then you're just in denial of how big it really is. But I still think it'd be a great opportunity. So I was campaigning for it as much as I could. And yeah, it's in Tokyo, and then it was in Paris, and now it's going to be in LA, and hopefully there'll be more disciplines. So I feel like we're on the right track.
Yeah, skateboarding, as you mentioned, bigger than ever, especially on the world scale. And you're such a big part of that. What was the secret sauce from the video game to the iconic, just historic feats that you accomplished? Most people that grew up, like myself and even Baker, grew up a huge fan of Tony Hawk as an athlete, bigger than even skateboarding. What made you one of the biggest superstar athletes of your time to put skateboarding on the map? What do you think it was?
I think a lot of my name recognition comes from video games. That is not lost on me, and I would never discount how important that was to my career and my longevity. I mean, I was never going to quit skating, but the idea that people are even still interested in what I do in my late 50s is baffling to me. But I love it, and I'm living the dream. It's amazing.
Well, and we're seeing in college a lot of athletes now being able to utilize their name, image, and likeness, something you've been able to do throughout your entire career. What advice do you have for those in terms of building a brand and building your name as sort of something that you're sort of behind?
You've got to keep moving. you got to keep trying to outdo what you did before. Keep challenging yourself. Longevity is one of the hardest things, especially in sports. And I just never quit. That's my secret. I never quit skating. I always tried to keep improving my skills, and I think people at some point appreciated that. And
given all of your work that you're doing on the, all throughout skateboarding, I should say, you mentioned skate parks, of course, we're talking the Olympics, so many different aspects that skateboarding's in. What else would you like to see next? It does feel like there's so much room in sports in general, whether it's media deals, new leagues, investment. What's next that skateboarding needs to take to continue to grow the sport?
Well, I think that it's more international opportunity and availability. I think countries that haven't acknowledged that skateboarding could be beneficial to their youth should step up. And Yeah, they're moving, like X Games is moving into a league format, so that we're going to test the waters there. And I think it's in a really good place. And I mean, if people want to skate these days, there is so much available to them. And when I was a kid, there was nothing. I mean, skating was the furthest thing from cool you could do, and there were no parks, and parents didn't want you doing it, so everything has changed.
Definitely, and I want to circle back to this incredible auction that you have with Julian Auctions with your 900 collection. And you mentioned people still know you a lot from the video game, I should say. When you look at just the growth of your career, the legacy that you've had, what else are you seeing that people are responding to? We're in such a social media era, NIL era. What's the other responses that you're getting as Tony Hawk on the streets, in the video games, in the auctions, that maybe even surprised you a little bit?
Well, I honestly just getting recognized at all, because like I said, when I was a kid, skating wasn't cool, and so you never could aspire to be rich or famous from it. No one was. It just didn't happen. So the idea that people recognize me or even know anything about me is still kind of a shock. I'm very thankful for it, and it's a big reason I get to do what I do. This auction has been really fun to dig into my archives and just find stuff that was like, I didn't think this X Games pass from 1996 would be anything ever. And now there's other people that'll be interested in it, and I just happen to have it in a drawer.
How much money do you think a lot of this stuff's going to go for?
Yeah,
I don't know. I am not trying to, I don't want to have super high hopes. Whatever happens. I mean, the one item that it has been the hardest for me to, not hardest, but the one that I wrestled with was this one for sure, because that's the board that people saw. That's the board I rode in the '99 X Games doing the first 900, and it's iconic, I suppose. But I'm ready to go. I'm ready to have someone else enjoy it.
Yeah, exactly. Of course, you can bid on a lot of these items at juliansauctions.com. Tony, thank you so very much for joining us.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
And we got a lot more Front Office Sports Today headed your way right after this quick break.
Odds for the Phoenix Mercury win the WNBA final. I'm saying it right now. Until I get Stewie back, and they can show me with Stewie, with Messerman, with Stewart, with John Quell, with Ionescu, with Phoenix, until I can see the Liberty look like the Liberty, which they have not been for a while, I'll be willing to say that Phoenix Mercury could make the WNBA finals.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid. This is the moment every fan waits for. The countdown's over. The road to kickoff has begun.
Play is here to stay. I'm not going to name names, Kevin.
From win totals to player props, from division races to MVP debates, we've got eyes on every camp and data feeding 24/7, breaking down every angle across the league. Every pick, every edge, every line that matters. SportsGrid. Your road to kickoff starts now.
Justin Rose has done it so many times in his career. That's like he's so good at everything. There's nothing that he's bad at. Every part of his game is at close to a elite level when it's good. And so when he had it going on this week, he's not scared, dude. When he gets that look in his eye, watch out.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
If you don't like getting hit, you can't do BKFC point blank.
Oh, absolutely. Like in the MMA world, you have opportunities to negate getting hit more so than BKFC. You can get a takedown, you can secure a dominant position where you're less likely to get hit, and even if you are getting hit, you're less damaging because of your position.
Combat Sports Report, only on SportsGrid.
Welcome back, everyone, to Profit Sports Today with Renee Washington and Baker Machado. And Renee, we know women's sports are big business, but what is the data telling us when it comes to women and how they're consuming sports, and also how big sports like the WNBA continue to grow? Well, to dive into some of the metrics for us is Jay Prasad, the CEO over at Relo Metrics. Jay, thank you so much for joining us. So tell us what you know so far about the metrics of how females are consuming sports right now.
I mean, females, males are all consuming female sports, and it's continuing a big growth pattern that started last year. Sponsorship, media values, and viewership is up 40%. Sponsorship, media values are up 35%. WNBA in social is now one of the largest out of all sports. The value being delivered per post in the WNBA is exceeding that of men's sports, right? So, wow. I mean, there's a lot of fandom, and it's very spread out through social media, and it's very wide audience.
And when you look at women's sports, such as the WNBA, women's leagues in that regard, NWSL, WNBA, AUSL, all these tremendous professional leagues, what are the most important data points that are very similar in predicting the growth of the league?
I think today it still starts with the television audience that you can generate, since so much of the revenue comes from the media rights deals that are sold. And if you think about just this week with the sort of blockbuster UFC and Paramount deal, where it's a multi-year, $7 billion a year kind of back-ended type deal, it almost doubles the annual amount that UFC was currently getting from its now expiring media rights deal. So having a viewership audience base that you can build and forecast on helps the leagues generate more significant revenue, which is a huge opportunity, right? Especially with a lot of the conversation with the WNBA this year. And so that, and then how marketable your athletes are, and how engaged are they with fans on social media, because then that helps generate more sponsorship interest, right? So if your biggest two sources of revenue are media rights and then sponsorship and then ticket sales and merchandise, it kind of all comes together in this pyramid.
So let's continue that. Looking at the WNBA, with their recent expansion, they've got Toronto and Portland that are coming into the season this year. They've got Cleveland, Detroit, Philly that are on the brinks of entering the league in the upcoming years. And as we talk about the Connecticut Sun sale, we've discussed that so much in the show. It's led to conversations of should a WNBA team be in Connecticut versus Boston or Houston? What are your thoughts in terms of geography that the data has shown of which of those markets, for the WNBA specifically, traditionally does seem to make most sense, but aside from the history of a team like the Houston Comets?
Yeah, without sort of history, legacy, yes, and all that passion that comes from fans, going back to the point that we started with around media rights, if you get a team in Houston, which is, I think, the second or third largest city in the U.S., then you're going to grow viewership, right? So I think any league and business in general would look at that and say, hey, this is a way to keep expanding the overall league by having teams in these markets that can generate a lot more fans and a lot more viewers.
Jay, we're out of time, but this was such a fascinating conversation. We'll have to have you back to go through a lot more of this with us. Jay Prasad is the CEO over at Relo Metrics. Thanks, Jay. Well, Renee, that Little League player who was suspended for a bat flip as he celebrated a home run, now putting that famous bat up for auction. 12-year-old Marco Rocco and his family announced the auction on Instagram, and they said all the proceeds will benefit the Little League that he's a part of. The bat also is signed by Marco. Marco was ejected when he flipped his bat in dramatic fashion after he celebrated a home run in the final of the Little League sectional tournament, with his family then going to court to get his suspension overturned. Renee, the family says the bat is incredibly special and it represents a crowning achievement for their New Jersey town, plus Little League history as well.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at this, it's another feel-good moment in baseball that a Jersey native is a part of. Of course, we saw Jen Powell become the first female umpire in Major League Baseball. Now we're seeing Rocco get this incredible moment where he's able to take this story in it for his family, for the 12-year-old, as a Haddonfield, New Jersey native, to take this story that was illegal and messy and had a lot of layers to it, to not make it positive. He's able to give back to his Haddonfield Little League, and also for the area to make this positive moment out of something that was really chaotic. So I think Little League in general, they need to lighten up a little bit. I've seen they're very, I understand the safety portion of it, but they're very disciplined and specific with some of their celebrations. Let the kids celebrate. Let them do a little backflip. Let them have fun. Rounding the bases.
Why doesn't the kid want to keep the bat? I want to keep the bat just because
I'd auction that bat off, and I'd continue
to
do my great celebration.
By the way, guys, we're previewing the Professional Fighters League final on the show tomorrow. The co-founder of the league is going to be joining us. We'll see you tomorrow. Thanks so much for watching. See ya.